Welcome to the Girl Dad Show.
What's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Girl Dad Show. I am so excited to have Miguel on the show finally, after many, many years of crossing paths, being friends, growing our hair out together. We are finally here doing this. Miguel, thank you so much for joining me on the show, brother.
I'm glad to be here and cutting our hair off together. Oh, man.
That's right. We're going through all the journeys together. I love it. Well, let's jump right into it, man. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself? Where do you work? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Miguel. Happy to be on again. A father of four and founder of Was Tax Hack. We've rebranded Centurion Firm, where I think what I love doing is leading a small team of tax advisors and accountants who work with businesses that are doing much cooler things than we are. So we have the honor and benefit of seeing, I think, kind of the vanguard of those changing, kind of businesses and the industries we serve. And it's been a really amazing journey. It's going on year 10 next year.
Wow, you're 10 years into your business journey.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, man. That's incredible. Good for you.
It's been a ride. It's been a ride. And I've been a dad the whole time, by the way.
Well, the entire time you've been a business owner.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I do have a lot of questions about that. But before we jump in, I didn't know about the name change. So when did you switch it? Why did you switch it?
Well, we are keeping the brands alive. This is like Disney and Marvel. And what we actually found out is that different customer segments have different pain points, have different journeys. And what we've done is we've created different brands that work with different types of business owners. So we've got one brand that's fully dedicated to short-term rental owners. That's sharedeconomycpa.com. MyTaxHack.com focuses on tech and digital marketing. And then what we want to do is create an umbrella brand to be able to bring that all together. So, it's harder, I think, to manage different brands, but I think it's more effective because each one of those brands has a different playbook for dealing with different business owners.
Cool. So you're able to specialize with the various flavors of services you want to provide for different ICPs.
That's exactly right. So the journey to getting to yes is faster because of that, but also the journey to delivering value is faster because our team knows how to work with, a specific type of customer. For example, just to tie it all together with tax, what you're really measuring for is what level of tax problems do they have. And you know this. An e-commerce business doesn't really have a profitability tax issue because they're spending all their money on inventory. But a digital advertising agency, they're all margin, right? So they're going to need a very different playbook than your e-commerce founder, very different than your VC-backed founder that's not going to have operating income, but they do have payroll tax issues. So not to get too into the weeds of things, but the playbook and I think the way that we communicate to those different segments is customized.
That's awesome, man. I love this. It's so cool. And I will say Centurion sounds so dope. Such a great name. Who came up with it?
I wish I had a better story for you, but the story is that the IRS turns out thinks it's a little too cute to work with a company that's all about hacking taxes.
Oh, God.
So the goal was boring and some reference to Greco-Roman because that's a category where they're like, okay.
Oh my gosh, that's so
right.
funny.
These guys wear button-up shirts. We don't. Yeah.
I never even thought about it that way. That's so funny. My tax hack. Yeah.
Don't get cute. Get cute with the IRS. That's the advice I give anybody.
Yeah, it's a good name, man. I like it. It's a good one. Centurion. Very cool. So talk to me a little bit about your family, man. So you got 4 kids, and you said you've been an entrepreneur the entire time. Have you always been an entrepreneur, or is this your first entrepreneurial business? This is your first business. Yeah.
This is my first business. So I started kind of traditional CPA background. I came out of college. I did a brief stint in investment banking where I packed my bags, left my family, did iBanking in New York City at Morgan Stanley. And I was like, honestly, my reaction was like, I'm not going to be a father. I'm going to wake up and my kids are going to be 2 years older. That's the whole thing, right? You do 2 years. So I said, what's something else I can do with my degree and background where maybe 60 hours a week is the crazy. And that was public accounting. So I did public accounting for 6 years and I was a dad the whole time. So I became a dad at the tender age of 17, which is a whole story in itself. But
wow.
Yeah. Wow was my reaction too.
Share what you can. Share what you're willing, please. I'm curious.
Yeah. High school sweetheart story. We had a kid, decided that we would figure it out. So, it was big for me. I was always a nerd. I took school very seriously. I think I partied a little too much in high school, but I think that was a pivotal moment in saying, wow, I've really got to plan out the future. So from being a teenage dad, which, by the way, I don't recommend this for anybody. I did it, but it's not a great way to do things. But yeah, I think I took my college journey very seriously, and I just asked around. I said, how can I make the most amount of money to provide for my family? Answer I got across the board back then, late 2000, late noughts or whatever, was iBanking. That's how
iBanking.
We didn't have tech.
Yeah.
There was no tech back then. So I took that really seriously. I was a dad of 2 in college, and I then realized, I think kind of as my stage progressed, I was like, you know what, like I want to have more flexibility to be a dad, and that's actually why I started TaxAct back in 2017.
Wow. So you actually were living a very risky life, and so this was actually almost in some ways less risk. So you're like the inverse of most entrepreneurs, where you're like kind of jumping into this, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to like take a bet on myself. You're like, this is actually potentially less work for me. It gives me more flexibility.
That's how it worked. I mean, I definitely tested before I left, and what it looked like is, buddy started a company. Hey, Miguel, you do tax, right? Well, I did corporate tax. I had no idea about small business taxes. I was like, sure, I could do it. And I threw out a number that I thought was ridiculous. I was like, you know what? I start with a $1,200 retainer. I thought that was ridiculous. I was like, this guy's going to say no. And he's like, absolutely. It's monthly, right? And I was like, wait, yes, it's monthly. So I at least on the sales side, I was like, all right, so I've got like product market fit. Like I could do this.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And I think I can say it now because I'm outside of the statute of limitations with my previous employer. But yeah, I built that on the side until I was like, okay, I can actually do this. First year was tough, but I mean, I was always very cash flow conscious in my business. It's easier to do that in service because I had at that point I had 2 kids I had to take care of.
So your risk profile was still pretty risk averse. And then I feel like when I met you, you started getting a lot more risk tolerant, because this is funny for me to even hear you say these things, because I feel like you were a little more, I've only known you to being a little more risk tolerant than what you're describing right now. Yeah, you like making bets.
Yeah, I think at some point, when you can bet on yourself and you have that confidence and you have that experience, I think there's a transition too where you need to start realizing like, okay, maybe I need debt to grow this thing. And I think that was the big pivot. It was $1,000 bank debt that I took on to grow marketing, and that was maybe back early 2 years after I'd started the business maybe, and I was like, all right, okay, I've got a formula. Let's really knock the cover off the ball. And today, I mean, we really do see ourselves as being, in the future, the firm that provides strategic advice to small and medium-sized businesses. Because if you look at the market, I mean, a lot of it's, let's meet once a year, let's file my tax. It's very retroactive. We're seeing that change. And I think the way that we look at it is like, hey, if we can be the firm that people think about, various niches across the space, that's what we want to be. We want to be the go-to tax and advisory firm for each of our niches.
It's awesome. Very, very cool. And then that encompasses the full spectrum, or is it specializing in business tax, or is it payroll? You mentioned payroll tax, and you also mentioned, no, that's all you mentioned. But do you do the sales tax, and do you do all the taxes, or just business tax?
Yeah, we handle compliance across the board. We say that we lead with tax advisories. We want founders. We're also looking for the right fit on the client side. So we want founders, operators, and investors who are really thinking about the future, and they're thinking, how am I going to exit? How am I going to fund my retirement? I realized that, I'm taking care of everyone else. I kind of forgot that there's a tax strategy that involves me putting a lot for the future away. So we lead with that. And as a part of that engagement, yes, you've got sales tax compliance, you've got a myriad of things that are going to bore your listeners going through. We'll take that off. And our goal is to really spend time talking about the future and not having you worry about the small things.
Yeah. Figure out what their end goal is, and then you do all the work to model out what that looks like inside of the tax system.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I love that. Talk to me about your kids, because it sounds like you have, then if I'm doing my math right, you have very young kids and you have adult kids.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I've got...
Yeah.
Adult kids is crazy, Han. That's crazy. I do have a 19-year-old, and to think of him as an adult is kind of a sobering thought. I mean,
yeah.
Everyone's like, hey, being a young dad's great. Like, your kids are going to be out of the house. You're going to be free again. Well, I happen to have more kids, but also realize like that is not true. That is not true.
It's not.
No, the 19-year-old's like, hey dad, like I got a utility bill in the mail.
God, it's just like never ending.
It was due last month. They're gonna cut off the electricity. It's like, dude, what happened to this promise of like out of the house, you're adult? But yeah, my oldest is at University of Illinois. He's a college
Nice.
student. It's really funny actually going out for Dad's Weekend because everyone like there's a 5K race. And they split up like the students and the adults, and they always try to put me in the student line. It's a giant compliment, but I'm like, I paid tuition. I'm on the dad side, okay?
Yeah, but I mean, you do look really young, so you're blessed in that sense. You're healthy, you got good skin. I mean, you look like a kid,
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Stop!
I know you.
Stop!
Please stop! Please stop! Yeah, so then you're with this dad race, and you're basically the youngest dad. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I'm the youngest dad, and not the fastest dad. I will say there's some beasts in that line, but
really?
Yeah, it's cool because a lot of the dads, and it's not just sons, it's daughters too, but they'll do the race together. So we're doing it. Balin and I are running this thing. I'm looking at him. Sometimes he needs to slow down. I'll slow down. Sometimes I slow down. He slows down. It's like very friendly until the last like 100 meters. Because then you see that competitiveness come out with your kid, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at, and we're just all out booking it.
Yeah.
And the other dads on the finish line are onto it. So they're like, go, go, go. So this year I beat him. And the other dads let him know. They're like, hey, he got there first.
They let him know. They're all on your side.
Yeah, they're like, hey, this guy's one of us. Like
dad power. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's so funny.
So that's incredibly rewarding, man. Like to see your kid kind of grow off and spread their wings. And you can't tell your kids to do their homework. And what's cool is like, I don't need to. I mean, now he's in another stage where he's like looking for internships, and he's learned what nepotism is, and he's actually like, Dad, can I cash in on this? Like, I see you're connected with this architect. Can you get me?
Yeah. That's awesome. So he knows what you do for work. That was my next question. Is like, what does he think about your business and your job and who you are and how connected you are to all these different business owners? Yeah, talk to me about that.
I think he definitely knows, and he definitely was very clear he didn't want to study accounting or economics.
Really? He didn't want to go into the family business.
He doesn't. And to be honest, I don't know that I wanted him to, but it's just funny because he's like, when people ask like, what does your kid do for work? My kid's always been like, my dad's just on calls. He's like, Dad, I knew very early on to like shut up if there was a call on Bluetooth. Like, all I know is you're on calls, which is funny because like, he's like, I don't want to do that, but I'm pretty sure architects are going to be on calls all the time. Like,
Yeah. It's a service job. Yeah, exactly. It's professional services. It's a relationship job. Yeah.
So I think he, he has the surface level on what I do, but I think what he's picked up is LinkedIn. So it's pretty neat. A lot of the professional groups will actually ask students to create their LinkedIn, start having a presence.
Smart. That's smart.
And I think he's figured out, he's like, Dad, you've got some connections, Dad.
So now he thinks you're cooler again. Like, he's like, the stages of like, you're super cool, you're not that cool, and then now you're cool again.
Oh my gosh, I am so not cool, but I think I'm coming back.
You're coming back, yeah, you got connections. I mean, he's entering the world, He's like, oh wow, you're not that lame, you're awesome.
I'm gonna tell him, yeah, no, exactly. Wait till I tell you about my friend Han, okay? Let's look at Han's connections.
Introduce me. Yeah, let me meet him. Let me link in with them. Absolutely. And yeah, I'm happy to introduce him to my architect friends because I'm down for that.
It's funny because that's where he's at. I mean, you kind of do have to find your own. I mean, you've got to find your own internships. You got to find your own opportunities. So it is. I think parenting is absolutely rewarding. I think I learn more about myself than they learn from me, to be honest. But this stage of how do you kind of don't do too much to help them find their opportunities, but help at the right time is, I don't have the answers to that. I'm figuring it out live.
Yeah.
But it is different than like with my younger kids where it's just like, hey, can you get your shoes on? Like, we're going to be late, like we got to get out the door.
It's way more directive. Yeah. I know what you mean, because now you're like, do you want to like do that for him? So then it enables bad behavior and determination. But at the same time, if you have the connection, why wouldn't you give it? It's also like, give him the edge. I get that. That's a weird balance to strike. That's a tough one. You got to let me know how you did it and what the results were. Because I'm a little bit behind you, so well, at least you get multiple tries because you're now behind me because you got you got even really young ones now. Yeah,
That's right. No, and I totally forgot what those years were like. So yeah, I definitely need advice. But yeah, Balin, my oldest, is definitely my trial kid. You know, he's proud about it. He's like, you know, all the other kids have, you know, more autonomy, more guidance, more patience, and it's absolutely true. I think you know, the best side about being a young dad is I had energy when they were young that I don't have now, but I didn't have the patience that I have now.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. I actually started really late, so my kids are younger and I'm usually the oldest dad in their friend groups, you know, and so it's the opposite,
no one can
right?
tell though, right?
Yeah, because I'm Asian, you know. I mean, yeah. Please stop. Exactly. The whole show is just you and I just complimenting each other. Exactly. It's just like 45 minutes of us just like platitude. I love it.
Only 45 minutes?
Yeah, only 45 minutes? Yeah, we can go forever. So let me ask another question then. So when you think about your business venture, it sounds like you don't care, or do you want them to be entrepreneurs? Like any of your kids? Do you want them to kind of take over the business? What are your thoughts around that?
I don't want them to take over the business because I want to sell a good portion of this in the next 7 to 10 years.
Got it. Yeah.
But, you know, I think I wanted them, you know, I don't think I'm too much different than other parents where I wanted, whatever they did, I wanted them to be passionate about it. Because I learned early on that, you know, forcing your kids to eat vegetables doesn't feel good, right? Forcing them to do the work they don't want to do is really difficult. I think as parents, we have to be intentional about what we force them to do and what we encourage them to do.
Right.
And I knew that just with their profession, like from my experience, you've got to be really passionate and interested in it. So with Balin, my oldest, you know, the thing that he was most interested in like 8 to 10 was Minecraft. So he was designing these Minecraft structures, and I'm telling you, like the stuff you see on YouTube that's like giant mansions, like he was doing that early on.
Wow.
And I wanted him to actually be in engineering. I just figured, okay, computer science or you know, electrical engineering, like that's the future. And he took all those classes, and I remember there was a day where he was like, Dad, like I just feel like I'm too artistic to just do pure engineering.
Engineering, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I love that. So I don't know that I want them to be entrepreneurs. I think my path was do the corporate thing, and then once the rules really start pissing you off and when the reward doesn't match with your level of effort, that's usually when people realize, like, you know what, I could do this on my own and the ROI is a lot higher. So maybe they can become entrepreneurs, but my goal for them is to find something to be passionate about and make money in.
It's so cool because you see that world in a way that's so obvious to you in that sense. But I will tell you that that's not obvious. The obvious is not that you go corporate first and then you get tired of the grind and then you self-eject into entrepreneur. That's not how normal people talk about entrepreneurship. So it's kind of funny that you acting like that's the normal standard or mindset, but it's not the one. Like, what are you talking about? That's your life. That doesn't mean that everyone else did it. You're like, yeah, that's what everyone does. It's like, no, that is not what everyone does. That's what you did.
That's super fair. How was it for you?
I grew up with entrepreneurship in my family, right? So I watched my dad building businesses, and so it's always just been part of my life. It's never been a big thing. It's just it is what it is. You just start a business, and so the risk profile is very, very high tolerance, right? Very high tolerance for risk and adaptability to change and all those things. And but I mean, it kind of goes back to the old classic case of like, is entrepreneurship nature or nurture? I don't know. It's probably a combination of both, you know. But I definitely don't think that people are expecting to go to the corporate world until they get fed up with it, so that they start a business. That's definitely not the norm. It's not what happens. But I'm glad you think so, which is awesome. And I can't wait to see if your kids follow in that suit. That's great.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. As I think about my clients, I would say, if I were to guess, I would say there's some split between I just came out of college and started a business with my buddy, and I worked at Facebook for 10 years sometimes, and decided to start something myself. Yeah,
and it does happen. I guess you're right. Now you're convincing me that you're right. But yeah. Anyways,
but I want to ask you something, because I think entrepreneurship is pain, and as parents, we sometimes want to save our kids from that pain. Do you want your kids to be entrepreneurs?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
And I would love it if they worked in my business or whatever. You know, I would love to work with them. I mean, I think I used to be so afraid of it because my dad it had such a big separation from family and business, and I just kind of grew up thinking that it was two separate things, and you never want to mix those things up, and because it can get ugly. It can get really nasty. But at the same time, like, anything good is worth fighting for, and I've seen now people that are working as a family business, and I don't know what else would be greater in success for me. Like money's great, obviously, but at a certain point of money, you start looking for things that are more meaningful. Obviously, if you get your minimum sufficed, and you have the ability to like start thinking and being a little more intellectual instead of just trying to like survive, you start thinking about like what you want, and money's kind of like just a vehicle for providing value and happiness. And when I think about it for me personally, I can't think of a better world where me and my kids and me and my daughters are like striving to build something great, like, and we're suffering together, and we're solving together, and we're learning together and building together. I can't imagine a world where I wouldn't want that. It'd be great if I knew that no matter what happened, I'm fine because I have so much money. That's the goal, is to like have enough cash where they won't know it, but I'll go, just be optimistic. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, and just like work through the problems with them because I'm super secure. But that may not be the case. And I'd still take that bet even if I didn't have that financial security, because I think that doing that with them would make me so close to them. I just want to be that close with them because, I mean, I don't think you've ever had a business partner, right? It's always been you, right? And then you've had employees and executives. But I will tell you that as a serial entrepreneur that's had more than one business and many business partners, the relationship I formed with my business partners is unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, it's like marriage, but like in some ways more intimate. No, that intimate's the wrong word because now it makes it sound like it's physical. But like my business partners know more about me than my wife does, in the worst way possible. Because there's no in my relationship with my wife, there's very, very, if any, times where we are talking about an allotment of money and how we think about other people. There's just no times where those values come up. Whereas like in a business, you're constantly under-resourced. You're constantly trying to make decisions on, but I don't like that they do this, and so I'm not going to be willing to sacrifice this amount of money for those characteristics or these values. Like, you're literally showing your true self to this other stranger, constantly showing how shitty of a person you are.
I agree. I do have a business partner now. That was part of the Centurion. Is it we merged in 25?
Good.
So I fully agree. And in fact, I've been asked to stop using marriage as an analogy because my partner is a female.
Oh, God.
So people start confusing. They're like, wait, so are you married? I'm like, yes. No, not us. I'm married. So no, I fully agree. It is. And also, like, I think in our experience, like 50% of partnerships that I see like fail. So, like that divorce metric, the ratio, like here too.
Business.
So I think what you're saying actually makes sense. That's a corollary for making sure that you succeed. If you guys really know each other and understand what stresses you out, it's gonna be accretive to staying together.
Yeah. So being a teenage dad, and then now having young kids again in your later stage, you have a really, really unique perspective to share. What's been the hardest thing about being a dad and an entrepreneur? So what's been the hardest thing about being a dad so far? Just in your personal story.
No, there's no question. It's an easy question. It's the sleep. So, and I mean it in two ways. I mean it that you're staying up till 11 for the teenager to come home. Yep,
that's funny.
And then depending on sleep regressions, you're waking up 3 hours later to feed the baby or put a kid back to sleep. It's just you can't win. But
you're a crazy guy for restarting that clock all over again. I love it. It's so awesome.
Young, it's not always my choice, Young. I thought we were just out for drinks. I thought we were just having a margarita. I don't know where the clock's at, okay?
Yeah. That's awesome.
So my wife says we're done, so I think we're done. But yeah, the truth is like I talk to parents all the time. Like, teenagers are emotionally exhausting. Young kids are physically exhausting, But I think the unique perspective that I'd want to share with my younger self is that excitement that the kids get when you come home. You know it. Long business trip.
I love it.
You open the door and you've got a kid.
My favorite.
Sprinting at your nether regions, really. So you got to be kind of careful. that doesn't stay around forever, and that's sobering. Kids still love you, but, teenagers, they're optimizing now for their social groups, and I'm sorry, that doesn't include you. So you've got to find other ways to do that. So if I'm tired and I come home and Theo's running at me full speed. I get right down there and give him the biggest hug because I just didn't sit around the daddy like that. Just
Yeah.
there's nothing
Cherish
more
it.
special than that.
I agree. I love that, man. That's awesome. Let me switch gears a little bit. So when you're thinking about your next chapter of this business, like what are your goals? Because I know you just said that you're angling, you alluded to wanting to transact at least some, get some chips off the table. But what are some of the big milestones that you're trying to achieve over the next chapter in your business?
Yeah, I mean, we have very clearly an EBITDA goal, and then there's really three things that we look at, like almost daily, quarterly, what have you, that we want to be in a certain place as we look 3 and even 10 years out. We optimize for financial performance, so that's going to be your revenue and EBITDA. NPS, how happy our clients are and how willing they are to refer us new business. We have an internal NPS. And the fourth thing, like it sounds cheesy, but when I talk to the team, I say, hey, those are the three things that I'm looking at. But the last thing is the most important, and we call it vibes. So like, what's the vibe of working here? You can call that culture as well. But yeah, we have goals for each of those and where they should be. But we want a 90% NPS score.
Wow.
And and if we do it right, that's not servicing everybody that wants to come in. That's making sure we're choosing the right client profile that's going to be really happy with what we deliver.
That's awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah.
And then when you think about the next, well, I guess your question is weird because you have young ones and old ones now. But what's the next chapter of success look like for you as a dad?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah, yours is tough. You're gonna have to answer it in like 2 parts or 3 parts, or maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I hesitate because I think maybe like most parents, like my first reaction is like I just want to survive, man. I just want to survive. Like,
You're so tired.
I'm so tired.
Mentally, physically, emotionally. They just got you. Just stranded in your own island. I love it.
It definitely is. I mean, I think it's like different for each kid. I think, and then for me as a parent, I mean, for my son, it's accepting that he's in a different stage of life where I'm cheering him on from the sidelines, and I really want to see him get that internship. So like, yeah. I really hope that. Whatever he does, that he's fulfilled and that it's hard. I really do hope for hardship for my kids. And I think as a son of immigrants, there's a lot of things that I don't want to put my kids through that I went through. But we sometimes forget about the character that built. And if there was a way for me to give them the emotional support and security, but also the hardship that made me, I'd want to do it. I haven't figured that out. But I think that's the stage of life that the older ones are in, where it's really just being encouraging while they work through their hardship. My daughter wants to do pre-med, so she's taking some really hard science classes. She's taking like 6 AP classes and still an athlete. So again, that's like the hardship that she's doing, and I'm not forcing her to do it. I'm just here. If she needs a tutor, we get her a tutor. So I think with the older ones, it's the supportive, and I think with the younger ones, it's being present and knowing that stuff doesn't last forever.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love that. And then you said you're a son of immigrants, but talk to me about that. Did they start a business, or did they jump into work, or what did they do?
No, both my parents were professionals, and that might explain my tendency to think that we should all be professionals.
Yeah, no. Man.
But my mother was a dentist in Mexico, and my father was a lawyer in Mexico. And they basically came here and took a professional step down. So my mom became a dental assistant, my dad a paralegal, and we didn't have much. They actually got divorced when I was really young, so they didn't have much independently. But what they made sure that we did as kids is they made sure that we took school seriously.
That's awesome. So you ended up becoming a professional, a very successful one at that. It's awesome, man. Yeah. I didn't know you were in iBanking. I didn't know you were one of those.
Well, I didn't make it. I didn't want to stay in either of those. So I think that's, if you want to typecast me as a Latino in like high school, like I was your Latino like punk rock kid, So there's always been a part of me.
Cool. That's very niche. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's super cool. Yeah.
Dude. So it's always like I'll study hard, but I wanna be in the mosh. Yeah. I want to be in the pit.
You're gonna rock out.
Come this weekend, and I think that's true as well. Like in my journey, it's like I want a little chaos. Dude, supporting entrepreneurs, like talk about chaos, like that is
seriously,
is the mosh pit, my friend. So I mean, my parents taught me a lot, and I think I always knew that. What I needed to do was to honor the sacrifice that they made because that was a different generation, right? They weren't talking about emotional support and vulnerability and how to have the conversations with our kids that you and I are trying to do. their mission was just survive. So I think your question about like chapters goal for this chapter, it's a good one, and it can't just be survive. So yeah, it's a really interesting question.
Sorry, my thing got a little bit messed up, but they were just trying to survive is what you're saying, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of referring to earlier about, like, you need a certain level of like comfort, to even start self-reflecting and thinking about more than just survivability. Yeah, but I agree with you. I'm son of immigrants as well too, and I have that same mentality, and I struggle with this all the time because my kids live a great life. I mean, they have like they don't wish for anything. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm always just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to teach them hardship and perseverance? And then I don't know, maybe it's me being a little bit gender biased here, but I'm like, I have girls, and then like by the third,
that's a real thing.
Dude, by the third no, I literally just bend. I'm like, okay, here's my wallet. Let's go do it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, you win. Let's go do it. What am I talking about? Come on, let's go. And it's just like the worst because not only am I enabling it, I'm actually teaching them that you can push me over. So it's even like, it's like all the worst things, and I still can't stop it. And I gotta really toughen up, man.
I don't know who can help you, man, because those are some cute girls you got there.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't know anyone can say no to that.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Yeah, but I know. Well, all right, let me go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that, like, I think the version of hardship, for us to learn as first generation is like the version of hardship that they're gonna deal with is not gonna be economic. It's gotta be something else. It's gotta be making the dance team or balancing a bunch of classes or finding an internship. I will not, if there's anyone listening who has an architecture firm, like, I'm not trying to get my son in it. He needs to figure that out, right? So I think that's it. You invite them to find their own hardship.
Yeah. Well, hopefully your son listens to this because I did offer to help him. So hopefully he'll reach out to me and hear this and go, okay, I'll go to reach out to
It's up to him.
Yeah, I'll help you, bro. I'll help you. Call me.
Okay.
LinkedIn message me. I'll help you. So yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. So let me do my rapid fire questions. So you already answered one of them, which I'm really excited about, but I want to ask the other one. So one piece of advice you have for other parents or soon to be parents.
Find ways to slow time down. If you can figure that out, tell me how.
And tell me how. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a very good one.
I think what that means is like, too much routine sometimes, you kind of lose time. So those things that I know you do, breaking up the routine to go get ice cream.
Yeah.
Taking a day off to stay home and help. That's giving myself advice. I don't know that I've ever done that. I hope my wife doesn't listen to this. But yeah, breaking up the routine to slow time down is something I'm trying to focus on.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. I for whatever it's worth, I'm like the worst parent. My wife always says that she hates it when I'm home because I'm always traveling because she's like, I have 3 kids. And then one of them has a wallet and money, and it's like terrible because I literally am like, my wife is so structured and balanced and even keeled and patient, and like she's just like everything that I'm not. And so like I go even harder when I am home because I'm trying to like show them and expose them to like just like a wilder side of life, and they're just like, yeah, donuts and ice cream for dinner sounds like a great idea to me too. Let's just go see what happens, And then they're like terrible because they don't sleep until 10, and then I'm like, don't worry about it, I'll sleep over with them. So they're like, sleep over. And they were just like, the whole weekend's ruined, right? I mean, like, and then and I'm like, see, I got to go off to work, But I will say that I try to go really hard, and just be as spontaneous as possible and show them how to like live in the moment, and the consequences of living in the moment, obviously, but like doing those things, and like having fun and trying to be as spontaneous, because I think it's the blend of everything. I don't think one thing is better than the other, but I think it's the combination of being everything, seeing that and then being able to choose what you like and don't like.
And they'll remember that. I mean, I think
I hope so.
You're slowing.
Oh, that's what you mean, being present. That's what you mean by slowing time down.
Yeah.
Yeah, living in the moment. That's interesting. Good for you. Okay, cool. One piece of advice you would give yourself before having kids.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think make a practice of giving to yourself. I think that's really hard to do. I think as leaders of companies and leaders of families, we expect to sacrifice all the time. And I think that you show up better when you make some time to sharpen the saw.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's deep. Yeah, and I will say that I struggle with that a lot too. That's a really good one, man.
Yeah, how do you do it? How do you sharpen the saw?
Well, I'm
85 flights a year.
I know. I'm actually I struggle with that a lot, man. And I think that's something that I've been doing over the last few years is I'm trying my best to role model what it looks like to fight for my happiness. Because I was thinking about like I know, it's so dramatic. I know it's so dramatic. This is not supposed to be a dramatic show.
Yeah. It's insightful.
But I just like think about like my kids thinking that life is so easy. It actually happened because Lily approached me a couple years ago, and me and my wife, and she's like, "Dad, are we rich?" And I'm like, "What?" And my wife's freaking out because she's like, she doesn't, she wants to know who asked that and why they think that, and like she's just like really worried. And like, and I was kind of backtracking, in the moment, trying to figure out what to say to her in the moment. And, I remember seeing like a Shaquille O'Neal saying this, and I copied it. So I saved the moment. I was like, Mommy and Daddy are rich, you're poor, yes. which was a really good catch, to say in that moment. But it did make me reflect a lot about why she would think that. And it had a lot to do with that I optimized for so much time with them, and so I was there for everything. Like both parents were at the parent-teacher conference, both parents were at every recital, both parents were we're at everything together. My wife's a stay-at-home mom, she's a full-time mom, and I'm literally also at all the different events, and nobody else does that except for nobody actually. It's either one or the other parent. We're both at everything, and so they're just like, I don't think my parents work. Because we're literally just at everything, and I'm like, oh man, I over optimized, and it's too hard to explain to them in words when they're younger, but they're watching enough to understand and put things together. And so I'm like, oh man, I gotta unfortunately role model the behavior of what I want them to be like. And what I want them to be like is someone that fights for their relationship. I want them to be someone that fights for a good marriage. So I'm going to sacrifice now moving forward to find time with my wife and make those connections, even if it sacrifices time with them. I'm going to fight for the time to do what makes me happy and fight for what fulfills me, even though that sacrifices with them, because it's kind of counterintuitive because you're like, oh, well, don't you want to spend more quality time with your kid? But I think them watching you fight for your happiness, even in your old age, because I'm so sacrificial, and I think it's a very dad-like thing to sacrifice yourself to provide for your family.
Totally.
But me showing them that, I'm hoping that when they're 45, 50, and they're in a situation where they may be unhappy in their marriage, or they may be unhappy with their career or their life, they remember that I did it even at 45. Totally. And they remember, my dad's a benchmark for that. He changed his outlook and changed his lifestyle, and he fought really hard and uncomfortably to be happy for himself, because God forbid my kids are unhappy. I would be devastated, and I would feel devastated if they felt trapped in their life. And I realized that I can't expect them to be happy if I don't fight for my own happiness. And so it's kind of one of the reasons why I've been building so hard.
And you know what? That might be a better definition of being rich in life.
You think so?
I think so. I think that's rich in life. And I think when someone get that question, you can say I'm rich in life because I spend time with Mommy, and I think that's beautiful.
Oh man, thank you, man. It's weird to figure all this stuff out. You know what I mean? Because we're still young and dumb, in a lot of ways. And we're
super dumb.
Exactly. And it's just there's a certain level of insecurity that comes with making these kind of big decisions. Because you don't know what the impact's going to be, and all you really want is for your kids to grow up happy and healthy. And so how do you navigate that? And so anyways, I'm taking a stab at it, and that's my thesis that I'm running with. And then I just interview great people like you to see if I'm crazy or not, And so that's kind of the whole point of the podcast.
Yes.
Let me bring it to the next question, because I do want to make sure I keep you on time here. So tell me about your favorite book or favorite show or favorite thought leader podcast, anything that's your favorite thing that really has helped you in your business and life.
I'd say a recent favorite. Well, actually, I'll go with a long-standing favorite is Dale Carnegie's How to Make Friends and Influence People. I might be botching that title, but
it's a great one.
I think one that it's standing the test of time. You can still read it 100 years later and get something. And there's something in there. There's a story in there where the author compliments someone randomly, and someone later asks, hey, why did you do that? Did you get the sale? Did you get something? He's like, what kind of a world do we live in where you can't just say nice things to other people? And that stays with me. And I think that's part of the reason I appreciate meeting people on this journey, people like you, Young, who are just look, if there's nothing here for us to work on, that's fine. Yeah. We can just be good to each other, and we're all on our own journeys. And if we give some wind that ends up in your sails, that's great. I don't need anything back. So I think there's so many lessons in there that stick with me, and I hope that I've passed on to my kids, even though they haven't read it.
That's awesome. Good one. All right. When you're not sleeping, trying to be the best dad for multi-stage kids, multi-age kids, and you're not building the next best financial services company. What do you do for fun? What are your downtime activities?
Guitar, if I can get my hands on it.
You're a musician. You're an actual punk rocker.
I think that's a little generous, but yeah, man, I can, now it's more acoustic, but it used to be more electric guitar and distortion.
Heck yeah, dude.
But that and swimming, I mean, if I can get in the pool, there's just, there's kind of like a desensitization of like noise and what you see that I think for me is very calming.
Well, let's hang out this summer. I have a plethora of guitars and instruments and drums in my house, and I have a pool. Yeah.
All right, I'm coming over. You guys heard me?
Yeah.
I was invited.
Bring the kids.
There. Yeah.
Yes, bring the kids. Come over every weekend all summer. Let's do it. That'd be so fun.
Oh,
yeah, I would love that. Yeah, sounds good. Miguel, thank you so much for taking the time, man. I know you're super busy, and I know you're super tired, and I know you're not getting any sleep. So I really appreciate you making the time to do this interview after 3 years. I know. I'm so super excited to have you on, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Young. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll see you in my pool in the summer.
I'm holding you to it.
Yeah, I'm holding myself to it. Let's do it. All right. We'll talk soon, brother.
All right, cheers.
Thanks for listening to the girl.